This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
There's a topic came up early this week that you and I haven't had a chance to talk about yet, and I thought, why not do it for the audience to hear here? UConn and the Big 12 are talking again. What are your thoughts? Should if the Big 12 does have a chance to get UConn and they get the votes to do it, do you think it would be a good idea for the Big 12 to bring UConn in as a basketball-only school for now, or basketball and maybe their Olympic sports, and then add football, in 2031?
Yeah. So I made a comment the other day on X about this, and full disclosure, I'm not the expansion guru that you or maybe some others are. You guys do a heck of a job with this, paying attention really close to it. On the surface, I didn't like it. And a couple days of thinking about it and reviewing it a little bit and reading a little bit more about it, because I still don't like it. I think Brett Yormark has done a lot of things right. I don't know that adding UConn for basketball only, I feel like they're just, and I'll defer to you on some of this because, again, you're more in tune and plugged in on this stuff. I just feel like if you can expand in other ways, I would go other ways to establish the football side of the conference.
Yeah.
And if you can't, I don't know why you wouldn't just stand pat. I want to be clear too. I think it goes without saying, UConn's a heck of a basketball program. And I don't need to say that. I think people know that. But I think the Big 12 is already a very good basketball league. And there's an argument to make about, and this was the response that I kept getting. So you don't want to add a great basketball program to an already good basketball conference. That was the replies I kept getting. And no, I don't, because I don't think the Big 12 needs to. I think they're already solidified as, in my opinion, the best basketball conference in the country. So I think I would focus my efforts elsewhere in expansion to where I could cover football and basketball.
Yeah. I find myself waffling on this topic. I go back and forth on it. I see both sides of it here a little bit. I'm bad about that. Sometimes I just struggle to take sides on issues, but especially when it comes to sports. But some of my friends tell me I'm a fence rider. But anyway, because it would be exciting to have UConn in the league. And as a West Virginia fan, it would give us another team in the Eastern time zone that's close enough for some fans could drive to games. I'm sure they would probably play some games at Madison Square Garden again, like they did in the old Big East days. There would be some of that would be exciting to me, right?
Yep.
But outside of that, and yes, it would it strengthen the league some in basketball? Maybe. Well, I don't even think it's maybe it would. But here's the thing: somebody put a comment on X the other day that, well, the Big 12 would get, if they're able to, if they pull, if they add more teams to the NCAA tournament, that means the Big 12 will get more teams in it. And I'm like, why? No, it won't.
No, just kick.
They'll get less teams in because they're going to beat each other.
Yep.
I don't know that adding more. You just keep piling on basketball schools. It's like the SEC's, why do you think the SEC's fighting to try to get 4 teams in the college football playoff? Because they know if they don't, they're all going to beat each other up.
Yep.
Their top 3 or 4 brands are all going to end up with 2 or 3 losses every year because they're going to play each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I saw those comments. I saw them, and it was my thoughts exactly. And that kind of parlays into why I just, the replies I kept getting is, why wouldn't you add a great program? And no, I don't. Because in the end, I think it kind of gets you less teams.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're 100% right.
Michael Vick at BetUS.com. Catch an incredible 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits, plus 10% gambler's insurance. BetUS, my online sportsbook and casino.
But again, if UConn gets added to the league, I'm not going to be mad about it. I'll be cool with it. I'm like, okay, apparently they saw something I don't see. I'm going to trust the people who get paid big money to make these decisions, right?
Yeah.
But and I do understand, Brett Yormark's plan to decouple basketball from football in the next media deal, try to make basketball as valuable as possible for the networks. But I just think there's only so much juice in that squeeze for basketball, man. I just don't know that.
Yeah.
I just don't know that it makes sense. But then, I've talked off air to my, to John Kurtz, who's a friend of the show, who has his own podcast. And now he's for it because in his mind, he's like, the Big 12 may not even exist in 5 or 6 in 6 years. We might be in super conference level or something by then, right? So may as well strengthen basketball and make as much money as you can until then. And I said, well, that's a very fair argument,
Yeah,
So
and I think there's an argument there. I think that I think the one thing that we know about conference realignment, and again, I'm not a guru with that, but I think that the one thing we all know about conference realignment is the uncertainty of it. We just don't know what the future holds there. I just, and I understand that argument and respect it. It just doesn't do it for me. To me, I think I'd almost prefer to stand pat if I couldn't, and if I couldn't just pluck from elsewhere, if I couldn't go to the ACC and get somebody that could maybe not be on UConn's level, because recent history, there's not many that are. But if I could get another quality basketball program, but I could really help the football side of things, it just seems like that would be a better option for me. And if I couldn't, I'd just stand pat. I didn't love it then, and the more I think about it, it's just blah to me. I don't love it.
Yep. Cool. That's fair, man. Like I said, I can be swayed one way or the other. I might change my mind in 30 seconds. I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of, if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. I think that's just kind of my attitude on it. And I know it's hard to do a video about something when you're not that passionate about it. But I do worry that Brett Yormark's putting way too much emphasis on basketball a little bit. I'm a little bit worried. I did a video about that a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think there's enough money there to do that. I really don't. But
so
he's a lot smarter than me. So
yeah. So not trying to get sidetracked, but because it. So is it feasible what was discussed a while back for the Big 12 to look into an NC State, a Virginia Tech? I mean, is it if it's even, do you think I would be correct in saying that if they're interested in doing this with UConn, that it shuts the door on those other options? Would that be correct, do you think?
I don't think it shuts the door on it. One of my fears originally was maybe it takes up a spot that one of those schools could get, right? But then there's other counter arguments that say, well, adding UConn might actually entice some of those other teams, like a Duke, for example, to come into the league, or and I don't mean to compare Duke to Virginia Tech or NC State, but but it might entice other teams, and it also might keep Kansas. There's been some talk that Kansas might be a potential candidate for the SEC, because they want to strengthen their basketball now. Because they've already maxed out in football. What else can they add in football? So now they want to get better in basketball, so they might go try to snatch Kansas away. So maybe if you bring UConn in, it keeps Kansas on board. That might be, and maybe that is part of his thinking. I don't know. But
and he could have a strategy. He could have another move in his back pocket.
But right now, apparently, according to Dennis Dodd, he has 6 presidents that are for the move, 2 that are dead set against it, and then 8 that are basically undecided at this point. So he's got to get 6 of those 8 on board to make it work. Can he do it? We'll see. It'll be interesting to follow the story. But I just, since you and I hadn't had a chance to talk about it, I thought it'd be fun to talk about, and I wanted to get your take on it.
Yeah, I learned real quick that that conference expansion and realignment is alive and well on X, and
it never dies, man. Even during season.
Yeah, I love it, and I just, like I said, I think I would kind of just say your point of it. If I woke up tomorrow and they said they were in, and they just appeared on the basketball schedule for West Virginia, would I go? Yeah, probably. Would I hate it? I don't know that I'd hate it. I just don't love the idea. To me, it's just, it feels like there might be better options on the table. But if not, Brett Yormark hasn't. He's kind of done the conference well. since he's
Yeah.
been here. So maybe he knows another move that we don't know.
Right. And to some other people's arguments, maybe this is Brett. Maybe the conference should throw Brett Yormark a bone because he's done so much for the league. But I don't. In this day and age, with all this money coming up that these schools are going to have to spend, you can't afford to do. You can't afford to just throw somebody a bone. If you're throwing them a bone, it better make you more money, or it's not worth doing.
Well, I'll tell you what I will do. I will go to the Coliseum and watch them play in basketball, but I'm not going to Storrs, Connecticut in November to watch a football game years down the road. I can promise you that.
Yeah. Agreed. I think we can both agree to that. Want to give a shout out to our channel sponsors, Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner, attorneys at law, and BetUS, online sportsbook and casino.